great, sir. By yourself?
Good.
Awesome. Is this for you, sir?
Good. Huh?
Are they coming too, or?
No, just
Okay. For Brandy, right?
yeah.
Okay, so there's a stop. Picking somebody up?
No.
This is-
I'll stop at the store.
Oh, okay.
Look.
How's the morning going so far?
Good, good. Not too bad. How about for yourself?
That's good.
What time you start?
Good. It's just 8:30.
8:30?
Yeah, I think. I'm sorry.
Out of where?
I dropped off my son at Milliken High School, and then I think the first ride I got was over here in this area. It'd be the second.
For 8 hours?
I can't. I have kids, so I have to take a pause certain times. Well, today my son's got a game at 5:30. He plays he's 9 years old, playing baseball.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll be to watch that game. So see, I mean,
And then all you do is Uber all day?
I'm also a notary.
What?
I'm a notary public.
Oh, you okay? You do notary?
Yeah. So someone's got a legal document. Notarize that. Make house calls. You know, if someone needs me to come by.
How can I go buy a house support and see, I want to pay self-employed,
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
but child support, I just want to report that I'm making minimum wage, but I also want to pay into Social Security. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not just what's that? How you file taxes on that? How do you do that?
Apparently, if you're 1099 contractor, then when you file your taxes for the year, you have to file as an employee and an employer. Well, that employer tax filing goes towards credits toward your Social Security.
Or that?
Yeah. So you just have to make sure that if
you file as an employee.
Because it depends on the 1099. Like if the 1099 is issued to your social, then you have to file it as your social. So no matter what, it's going to end up on your social anyway. So those are okay. It's when you do another, let's say a business where you have an EIN, and then you're also in control of that other business. Well, that means that if you really want to count for Social Security, then the business has to file a 1098, which is basically your claim that you're an employee of your own company. It's another step, but there's advantages and disadvantages to why you want to accept a 1099 on your own social or a corporation or a sole proprietorship EIN. There's different reasons why you would want to be paid under different 1099 schedules.
I think I'm stopping right here at the liquor store right here.
Like I said, let me just turn.
I can just get off and you can just wait for me right here in the light. I'm good. You want to-
Yeah, I'll wait right here.
Okay, cool.
Just I'll open it. I got you. The door is automatic.
Okay, yeah, so like I was saying, I want to report, but as well as I don't want to report everything right now, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
So
you gotta, well, that's what I'm saying. So if you're getting a 1099 all on your social, that's you have to report all of it. So that's why individuals that want to collect revenue but not report it as necessarily income, they form a corporation, S corp, or an LLC, a sole member limited liability company. That way you can obtain an EIN and then decide whether or not you want to actually well, because at the end of the day, you're the CEO of the company. If you direct it, you can decide whether to accept salary or not. And if you don't accept salary, then you can use the business to pay for expenses of the business that you incur automatically. That way you divert to having the need to have to pay for those, like taxes on the, the expenses. So it's a straight wash, and then what does that do? Well, you reduce your tax liability because your income has been reduced. Right? There's an advantage and there's a disadvantage to that. But again, it's always a sliding scale. So you gotta decide whether or not, if it's going to benefit you to form or not. There's some more steps. Like, yeah, it's best to have your own tax preparer person that's knowledgeable that stays up with tax laws year after year. You want that. And there's people that are willing to do that, and there are people that are very appreciative that you bring them referral business, because of course that's always what's going to help them. And then they give you a break on your taxes, because sometimes you may need somebody to help you with getting a document for whatever, for applying for a loan, personal loan, a business loan. Then you need something put together, prepared by someone else, because you don't have time to do it because you're doing your business. It's helpful. So it just depends on what you want to do. Now, what's most advantageous to form, it's going to be an LLC or S corp, because if you do a sole proprietorship, you don't get the protections as you do as a limited liability company just by default. So you don't want to, you really want, at least at the very bare minimum, a limited liability company, an LLC. And you file as a sole member to open it. That's, I think if you go to LegalZoom, a package they put together for a California state LLC is upwards of like $800, and up. So there's a cost to it. There's always a cost, because it's about information. If you knew where to go, then you would do it yourself, right? So, but it does take time. That's why, and you're paying for the quality of
for time.
For this, well, and then for the product, at the end of the day, LegalZoom doesn't exist, because they mess up and they take a long time. They're pretty efficient and they get the job done. That's why you're paying them. So it's really like you find that budget part for you. Okay, so because someone can file you a corp.
What's minimum wage right now?
What's the minimum wage?
Yeah.
In California?
Yes.
I think like 15.
15?
That's what I think it is. Anyway, that's what they want it to be. I don't know if it is yet, but I know some companies are already pretty much exceeding it, because in such a competitive job market and the cost of living increases in California, it's hard to hire somebody just at minimum wage. People will do it, but you're gonna get a mixture of, you know, low to zero experience in the field that you desire. Now, that could be a good or a bad thing. Because, you know, do you need somebody to be a blank slate, you know, that you can mentor and train, or do you need somebody that's got at least the background skills to be able to use a computer and take phone calls? You know, like, that's about to pay a little more for that. You know, it just depends. It's very good, very great questions you're asking here. So what kind of business are you doing? You said you're doing
I do construction.
Construction?
Yes,
Framework. Okay. So is that what you're doing? You're an estimate for the house or today?
Yeah, we build residential remodeling. See, and I work for somebody, but he pays us cash. But I want to report. I want to pay. I want to pay into the Social Security. You know?
Yeah, you know what you do? You did. All you gotta do in this coming year is do what's called a stated income filing. Talk to a CPA about that. Usually, I mean, you could probably do it to TurboTax too. There's an option, I'm sure. If you just go, maybe if you like, you have to go to the website and check to see if they will help you with stated income filing, and if they do, then you can probably do it that way. If that's what you're already used to, depending on how you're doing it. But
I want to pay into my medical.
you report it, yeah. If it's cash now, the thing about that is if you report that as income, and you know, because it's going to trigger what's called a taxable event. So you know, if you have to report who the employer is, then they're gonna get a message from IRS say, hey, this one guy says that they were paid by you, but you're saying nothing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
so like,
I'm gonna make sure he
yeah, make sure he knows. That way it doesn't surprise him. You're like, yeah, no problem. You can report this. You know.
Yeah, it would be good for him too. Right?
That would be good for him. Well, yes and no. Yeah, I guess it is if he just does a 1099, right? Like, if there's employer implications and it becomes something like a flag for the labor department, they may go send an auditor to check his business to see if, because it just depends on, like, there's like an ABC test of, like, you know, what's an independent contractor or what's an employee. You've heard of that, right? That's what the Uber, Lyft, the whole thing happened, and then Prop 22 was passed for gig economy workers.
So what's that?
How does that work? That one, the Prop 22 passed so that the gig workers can stay as an independent contractor. That they don't have to be considered employees by any of the companies that hire for that kind of work. Simply because they're a data-driven company. And, you know, it's not their line of business to have, like, cars and employees, you know, like vehicles. So they use that argument to maintain that kind of way of doing in California. It's not the same. New York, they're all employees. Uber and Lyft drivers, like their rideshare, they're employees of the company. So
it's not a gig.
It's not a gig. Yeah, you gotta get. You know, they give you a schedule. They pay into a workman's comp. Right, so I don't know how that actually works. Like, if it's your own vehicle, like, what does it mean? That they, like, have to cover your insurance too, like that? You know, like, portion of it, or they stipend you for it? You know, something. I don't know. I don't want to think about it. It's too much. But California, you know, there's just certain, like, requirements, especially if you want them to be employees or not. You know, so if you're being directed by this person and they tell you to show up at a certain time and then you can leave at a certain time, then you're almost certainly behaving like an employee. So that might, you know, it's probably not gonna do anything if it's, like, it depends on how much. Like, how much did he pay you last year? Was it, if it was over like $60,000, then, you know, it's gonna put you in a higher bracket in a sense. Then yeah, you're probably gonna want, you know, he's probably gonna, like, you know, 60K a year is a, you know, good sized number for the labor department to go after if a company's making that much money to pay somebody. You know, like, are they paying them fairly? Are they following the law, right? And so there's all these questions that come up when they want to investigate a company. So there's just a lot of potential. So just depends. There's a couple of questions there you want to ask yourself. I mean, but if it's a significant number, like you want to report, and then you want that money to go toward your Social Security payments, right? So that when you retire, you have money coming back. Then you want to file a 1099 as an independent contractor for whatever income you that's the best way to go. It's the easiest way because but they have to report. Your company's got to report that they paid you the matching amounts, and that way it's confirmed that your company paid you the amount and that you're filing your 1099 for. It's not
Okay, yeah. Okay, then so you follow that. Then you can file as a company, right?
It's up to you now. Like
that way, I'll be as an employee, right? Employer of my company, right?
You'll be the employee, and you'll be the employee and the owner of your own company.
Do you pay for unemployment on there as well?
You can. I mean, that's the thing.
So that way, I'll be able to get unemployment of myself. You know what I mean?
You sure can. Yeah, no, that's definitely allowed. So what you need to do is complete the whole process of being a sole member LLC company, and then you're probably gonna need the payroll services. That way, you don't have to worry about it. Like there's a lot of tax preparers that are good with business that also know how to do payroll, and that's great. There's I actually know somebody. The one I'm working with, they're out of Wilmington though. They're out of Wilmington, but she helps a lot of people remotely now. You can do it online. It's easy. Just email your documents securely. To an encrypted email so that it's protected, and then of course. They do everything remotely. They e-file.
Is that possible?
Yeah.
Is it not a lot of
No,
trouble?
It's not a lot of trouble. It's not a lot of trouble, but there's the cost. You know what I mean? There's a cost involved with that. But you could just say it's the cost of doing business, right?
Okay.
So you have to incorporate that cost in there. And if you're okay with it, in the sense that, well, whatever I do as a business generates the revenue, the correct amount of revenue, in that. Whatever I pay into is already something that is going to benefit me, whatever it is, unemployment, Social Security, right? So what's good about doing the Social Security state and federal is that the OASDI is actually you also get let's say like paternity leave on state. Like you get the extra money. Like it's kind of like it's not disability, it's not unemployment, right? It's paternity leave. You actually get money from the state.
Yeah.
If you have a kid, if you have a kid on the way, so that's you're paying into that. If you're doing a full on as an employee, because that's a required thing in the state of California. That's why it's kind of a lot of employers are like, it's too much work in California to hire employees, so they go somewhere else. So, but I'll tell you that the individuals, there's actually, I don't know the exact percentage, but there's a statistic that says that when a company provides standard of living benefits, especially in California, everything from just sick time off, paid time off, right? So, vacation, even without full on like medical and dental benefits, if they have just the basic medical and then vision or dental or one or the other, right? Like families are happier and they live better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like it's a better, not just a better, it's not just a better quality of living, but it's a peace of mind.
Yeah.
Peace of mind. So like, why don't we, like the state should already be in the process. I mean, they kind of are in a sense, but like, when you pay into Social Security, and SSI, the state benefits. There's that too. So yeah, that's if you pay that employer tax in California, that's why it's also higher percentages of the tax. People don't realize that too. Like, yeah, it's more expensive, but we're actually getting, we're actually getting more here in California. If you really are taking advantage of it the right way, which is forming your own business, right? And then paying into it as, a higher salaried employee of the company, which is you are. If you're the president, you can pay yourself whatever the heck you want. Keep the rest of the money there as operating expenses. Pay your expenses with it. So with cell phone, a portion of your rent, like your home rent, can be written off, right? That's already a part of the business. So, you basically just swallow up all of the perceivable tax expenses through the business, and then you maintain good records for your business. So it's allows you to take advantage. I guess a lot of people, I think, it seems like so much work. It really is, though. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, it's a lot of work. But when you get it humming the way it's supposed to, especially when you have like good people that you're working with that are doing the right things, like a proper tax preparer that understands businesses, bookkeeping, and payroll, like all three. Like, that's very important. Like, and personal taxes, right? So that's 4. So, but when they understand that and how that picture works, like, that's really what you want. Is you want to be in a picture for the IRS saying, hey, look, ta-da, here's my stuff. That's, and then when you apply for loans and you apply for, at some point, you don't want it to be like, hey, the story doesn't seem like it's lining up. It doesn't seem like.
Another thing, like for example, like for credit.
Yeah.
Like, I have more credit, so if I start a company,
yeah,
the credit go to the company or to the person of the company?
No, usually, okay, so in the beginning, whenever you're trying to form company credit, you're always going to form personal credit, because a lot of times, I would say 7 times out of 10, they're going to utilize the owners, because someone's got to be a proclaimed owner of the company, right?
Yeah.
So we know this. That means that the companies know this too, and so they're going to check who filed as an owner of the company. Well, we're going to check this guy's credit. We need to have a personal guarantee of this individual that they have, 1, had a credit in the past, right? How long have they had that credit? 2, how good have they handled the credit, right? And then if they're in a recovery mode, what part of the stage of the recovery mode are they, and are they worthy of a business loan? So remember, the worse off your credit is, as far as like your score and your history, then yeah, it's less likely that you're going to get approved for a business loan. But it doesn't mean that you're less likely to get approved for business credit cards, which are also very beneficial and helpful to have as a business, business credit. So that's why it's also important to really separate yourself from your business, right? Having a separate EIN. It's a lot harder to build business credit on a social or a sole. On a sole proprietor is easier, but again, so like, what are the major differences between forming an LLC versus a sole proprietor? Well, it's liability, right? That's why it says limited liability company. So sole proprietor is you have full liability of everything under your business. So if you run like whatever, you run XYZ business, but it's a sole proprietor business, but you have a different EIN for it,
yeah,
that still leaves you liable for all of your assets. So let's say you own a car, you own 2 cars, you own a home, you own an RV. Now all of that is liable, put on the line if something goes wrong with your business. Versus an LLC. Okay, well, in the LLC, all I really had was that work truck. Okay, perfect. Well, it's your work truck and your real assets that are now at risk with any suit or legality based on the business. You want that separation.
yes.
So it's kind of key.
Does child support affect your credit and your?
Well, child support payments are based on your total income. So if you form a business and you're paying yourself, you're having companies, let's say, hey, when you write up a contract, here, look, my company is XYZ business, pay my XYZ business. If you don't collect any salary from your own business, that's not the business of the court, right? You're justifying it as, hey, look, I'm using this operational income for the business. I can't take a salary right now. Or for whatever you want to use it, they don't know, right? And that's not something reportable. So, but you get a write-off of only 50% of meals and entertainment. So entertainment includes everything from, well, entertainment. So, that's you just might want to be careful with what kind of entertainment shows up on the receipts, on the transaction report. So. And plus, if it's very vague, you have to have the actual correlating dollar amount receipt that itemizes it sometimes. Especially if it's child support related, I'm pretty sure at some level they can do what's called financial forensics. I'm not sure if you're familiar. They can get somebody in to look at line by line by line of your statement. And really go and fine teeth comb, go through it, right, and see what you're spending the money on. So I think being prepared yourself to present that data is important. It's kind of just like, hey, look, I got everything covered, support. So that's how I would approach it. But again, it's depending on what you need to justify as significant amount to remain as a business operating revenue, right? Versus versus income.
Backed up child support. When you owe child support, does that affect your credit score and all that?
No, doesn't. Not necessarily. It depends. Again, it really depends. Because when you owe child support, usually there are some instances where previous significant others have had access to their credit lines as an authorized user, and then they start to cause problems because now that they're not together, they figure there's a justification for trying to ruin their life because they felt like they ruined theirs. There's stuff like that. I've heard of cases like that. So you have to be aware that
So they're not to use that really against you.
Well, you better make quick changes to your credit if you have credit lines open like that. So I always recommend that if you're in a situation where you may need to protect yourself and you had an authorized user on your accounts, then you might want to remove them right away and then change the numbers.
Mine's always been separate.
Okay, so you're good. That won't affect you then, right?
Separate, but I still owe child support.
So no, it won't affect your credit. Building credit, still you would need to follow the conventions of building credit, which is basically having a mixture of credit lines open.
I have no credit.
None. Okay, so have you had offers? So the first step I would look for are any kind of pre-approved offers that have a annual fee, right? But they don't require a security deposit.
Okay.
They don't need a secure. It's unsecured. They call it They may charge you an annual fee, like to start back up, to give you, hey, look, we'll start you with $500. All right, if you take care of this $500 for a year, next year we'll give you another $1,000, and then so on and so forth.
All you gotta do is just pay $39 a year.
Yeah, sometimes some cards do it where they break down that number into a per monthly charge, and some of them they charge it on the annual. So you gotta decide which way you want it to be, and then use that company.
What credit cards do that?
Credit One is a company. There's I'm not sponsored by Credit One, but they do have a way for you to get qualified, and then there's two ways for that. They'll either split the annual fee of like $825 a month over the year.
And that'll help you start establishing credit.
Well, if they pre-approve you, sure. So in my experience, right, they actually got me first a $1,000 credit. First it was $500, and then became $1,000, and then now it's $3,000. Over a third year. So that's what's helped. But see, the trick here is that you have to use it for something every month. Even if it's one transaction, use it and then pay it off right away. That way it continues to report a positive usage transaction. Yeah.
You have a number?
Yeah, I do actually. Yeah, if you scan the QR code right there on my you can reach me if you follow on YouTube. But here, I'll pass you a card right here.
Okay. Cool. All right, I'll be here. I'll get in touch with you.
Yeah, I'll give you some pointers, and give us a follow on YouTube.
What's your name?
My name's Reggie. This is Reginald there, but I'll go by Reggie.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Okay, have a nice day.
Thank you very much.